Today is Friday, and yes, we do have Labor Day weekend, but I will be publishing our next unit by Sunday at the very latest, and I will send an announcement to you all letting you know that it's open, but I do not expect you to begin anything on Monday. You'll have the same due dates next week, Wednesday and Friday. And it is good to see you. It was wonderful to see so many of you be available for the welcome event for your other classes. And it is nice to see so many of you here. So what's going to happen right now is I am going to go over our very first writing project with you. And then I'm going to put you in breakout rooms where you can talk about what your thoughts are. Some of you may have started, some of you may not have. It's a bit of a shorter paper. It's an introductory paper. I want to see what it is you can do. And then we're going to come back together and we will talk. I will answer any questions that you might have. All right, so I want to share with you that at the beginning of every unit with the roadmap, you will always have the writing prompt, which is here highlighted. And the writing prompt this time is using Gatto's, Jonathan Taylor Gatto's Against School. So let me read it aloud to you. I want to share with you that sometimes when I've been given writing prompts in my classes, when I very first see it, I'm not sure how it is I'm going to answer the prompt. That's completely normal. And sometimes it helps to just read it aloud so that I can hear it. So I'm going to read it aloud for you. And for each writing prompt, I give you a general overall key question so that you can think about it in a different way. So the question is, how does schooling affect one's education? Okay, so the writing prompt is, John Taylor Gatto, in his essay Against School, suggests several problems with the present educational system. In a multi-paragraph, 750-word essay, do the following. I want to share with you really quickly, 750 words tends to be about 3 double-spaced typed pages with 1-inch margins, 12-point font, but instead of thinking about it that way, you are going to, on Word or on Google Docs, look at the word count. That way you can make sure that you've met that particular word count. So what you're going to do is you are going to summarize his main claims. You are going to discuss whether or not you have been a victim of these negative lessons since you've had so much experience being a student. And then you're going to consider your own experiences in school to form an argument about whether schooling encourages students to mature intellectually and creatively, or strips students of the ability to think critically and independently. Do schools shackle our youth or empower them? How and why? So you have several things that you're going to be doing in your paper. You're going to be summarizing. You're going to be sharing your experience, and then you're going to be arguing whether or not school encourages or discourages students in terms of learning. And so for the purposes of our paper, our project, please follow these parameters. I'd like you to include at least 3 quotations. Excuse me for the extra typo here. I'm going to take a picture of that because that's going to remind me to fix that. So you're going to include 3 quotations from the text. You are going to include at least 3 personal anecdotal examples. An anecdote is a story. It's a short little story. And when you give an anecdotal example, a personal anecdotal example, you are sharing a very short story that you're going to be using as evidence for an idea or against an idea. And in this case, about schooling and encouraging, whether it encourages or discourages. Now I want to share with you that in this particular paper, you are going to use anecdotal examples. It is not the strongest piece of evidence in scholarly papers. However, in this particular paper, I'm asking you to give these anecdotal examples. So there are times when it's appropriate to include personal anecdotal examples. There's times when it's not appropriate. But please understand that what a personal anecdotal piece of evidence does is that it connects the reader to your experience, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's everybody's experience. Okay, so there's a placement for it, and it's actually used a lot of times. People will try to prove their point of view by using personal anecdotal examples, and that's okay, but there should be more evidence in addition. So I just wanted to discuss, this is going to be what I'm expecting you to do in this particular paper, but it doesn't mean that that's something you should do in every paper that you do. Okay, and so I'm asking you though to limit the usage of the personal pronouns I and me, except for your personal anecdotal examples. Okay, beyond that, stick to the third person, meaning that you're not going to say, school is this way because I'm blankety blankety blankety. You're only really sharing those personal anecdotal examples, and then other than that, you're speaking a little bit more globally. So what's going to happen as well is you have a self-assessment revision reflection journal. You're going to have it for every single one of your writing projects. And this is one of the few assignments that if you do not turn this in, then I'm not going to be giving your paper credit. This is really important for you to understand, because I really want to encourage you to understand that the act of writing is the act of learning. And when you're reflecting on your own writing, then you have an opportunity to learn even more. So because this is not a process-based writing project, most of your writing projects will be where you'll have a draft and you'll have a peer review, and then you'll come back and you'll write your a new draft and you'll turn it in and that sort of thing. This time I'm just asking for a one and done, because I want to see what you're able to do. So for this particular self-assessment revision reflection journal, I'm just asking you to write one entry, which is the third prompt, and you are to turn this in a couple of days after the final draft is due. Okay, so usually I'm giving you till Sunday to complete your writing prompts, and then by Tuesday, in general, you should turn that in. Now you can turn it in ahead of time if you'd like. I also recommend that for your self-assessment revision reflection journal, which I've given you very specific directions for, that you make one Google Doc and you continue to add to it. So you have your first writing project and the one entry. You'll have your second writing project with the multiple entries, and so forth and so on. And so that way you'll have a narrative from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester, which I want you to have all in one place. So you'll be adding to your self-assessment revision reflection journal, and then by the end, you'll have an opportunity to go back and reflect on the entire process for the final reflection activity that you're going to do. Okay? So I also want to share with you that for your writing projects, I do give you a problem. Like, there's a reason why you're writing this project. It's not, just in vain, just because I want to give you something to write about. It's actually a real issue. It's an important issue. And we have a problem. We have an audience. Now, I know I'm going to be the one reading your paper, but that does not mean that I am the audience that you should be targeting for these writing projects. And then there's a purpose, and I give you some information about planning your time, etc. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I am going to stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to put you into small breakout rooms so that you guys can talk about where you're at in the process. And I want to share, if you are done, like you feel like you have a really good draft and you're ready to turn it in, bravo. If you're like, I didn't even start, that's okay. It's an opportunity for you to talk. So everybody should take turns talking. The first person to enter the breakout room when I open them up, the first person, that person is going to be the timekeeper. Okay, so I'd like the timekeeper, everybody should have 2 to 3 minutes to talk about their own paper and where they're at, or ask questions. And then the next person should get the turn. Okay, so that first person who joins, you're going to be the timekeeper, and you're going to make sure that everybody gets a turn to talk. All right, so I'm going to create the breakout rooms, and I'm going to make them, let's see. Okay, so there's going to be 3 to 4 people per room. If you have 4 people, then everybody should have about 2 minutes. If you have 3 people, everybody should have about 3 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little over 10 minutes. And at the end, if you have some questions to share with me for the last, 7 or 8 minutes of our session, you can ask me at that point in time. And when you get into your breakout rooms, if you're able to, I would love it if you would share your video, because we're able to interact better with one another if we're able to showcase that video. All right, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, and you're going to have 10 minutes. All right, I'm going to open the rooms now. Hi, LaTanya.
Hi.
Did you lose your breakout room?
We actually just finished a little early because
All right.
a couple of them, they had not started yet. So we kind of just talked about what things that they were going to start on and so on and so forth.
All right. I'm going to let everybody know they have about 3 minutes left.
Awesome.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, like I was explaining to the other students that this is my first year back since '97. So for me, it's so new. A lot of the processes and the way that it's just different. And so
It's very different. I started teaching high school in 1993, right out of UCLA. I had an emergency teaching credential. And in 97, I had earned my credential and I started teaching teachers, but it's like beyond different.
yes, it is. I know. I was telling, because a couple of them were saying that this is their first year out of high school. I said, oh, and then they were just sharing those things, and I'm thinking, oh my, if you knew that '92 was when I graduated, they're probably, this woman has got to be old.
Though, it's funny. I turned 50 this summer, and it's fun.
Happy late
it's
birthday.
like, oh well, thank you, thank you. And it's been my only day off since March. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it's because I am now the lead distance education coordinator. And I didn't start out in that position in March. I just ended up stepping up to the plate and offering support, and then ended up, working towards that. And I will tell you that time goes by fast, it goes by very quickly, but it's just very different attitudes that teachers have, very different attitudes that students have.
Absolutely.
It's just so different. So I hear you, LaTanya.
The learning tools, all of it, everything is just night and day.
Well, a lot of these teachers too, that I've been working really, really hard with the teachers, and it's new for all of them as well. So they don't know exactly what they're doing, but I will tell you, I'm going to close this out. See, I will tell you that a lot of my students, I use Zoom every semester, and I've used it for years. This is the first time I ever had a student say, "Where's the Zoom link?" before the class started. I'm like, our class is asynchronous. We're not going to do it quite in that way. That was the first time ever.
Yeah. I'm getting adjusted. It's not as bad. I think it's just more of the mental adjustment for me. It's definitely, but I'm excited. So
Good. And like I said, every teacher's different with what they're doing. Some are synchronous, some are asynchronous. That's why with the Zoom sessions, I've been mindful in having ours on Fridays, because I don't want to interrupt any other teacher's time who might be meeting synchronously, So, all right. Hi, Leanne. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, and you?
Good. It's good to see your face. Everybody's face I'm able to see. It's like, oh, okay. So it's good to see everybody. All right. So this is going to be the opportunity for you to ask questions. So if you have any specific questions about the writing prompt, please do not hesitate to ask. Usually, if you have a question, it means that other people have the same question as you do. So does anyone have any questions about the writing prompt? Did anyone ever see the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off? You should see it. It's a classic from the 80s. And every time I ask a question where there's silence, I think of the line, Bueller, and it's hilarious. So I recommend you take a look. So does anyone have any questions about it? All right, so, oh, did I hear somebody say something? Okay, so I actually, since you don't have any questions, I did want to take a moment to, and I have been meaning to create a video about this, but I just have not gotten there. I was saying to LaTanya and her group that I have not had a day off except for my birthday since March. And so if you send me an email and I do not email you back within 24 hours, please send it again. I am the lead distance education coordinator for Cerritos College, and that has happened since we went online. That the person who used to have that position, it had been vacated for about a year and a half, and I just got help. There's people who are coming to help, but I have to train them, and I'm also working to help train teachers as well to become online certified. So my plate is really, really full, and every little moment I have, that's not doing something for either my classes or for work. I am trying to take a moment to relax because I'm extremely tired. And I would imagine that a lot of you are tired for different reasons. Part of it may be that, you know, you're having to share your house and try to figure out the Wi-Fi issues and the technical issues. Your jobs may have shifted dramatically. And so I am here to support you, and I love teaching. It's just a very different beginning of the semester. Usually, even if I teach in the summer, I have a little bit of time to just relax. I have my daughter who's starting high school. She's in the house, so between the two of us, and then sometimes you'll hear my dog barking, although she's at the groomers right now, so she's not here, but she'll be in the background barking because if I lock her out, she gets, it's like she gets depressed. It's sort of weird. It's like I'm home, and if she can't get to where I am, she gets upset. So anyway, I wanted to take a quick moment though to talk to you about grades in this particular class because it is different than what many of your teachers are doing. And it's actually new for me this semester. I'm very happy because Cerritos College has opened this particular grading opportunity up. I'd been waiting for it, okay? And the goal of this is to be more equitable, to make grading, because at the end of the day, I care about my grades. I care that my kids do well. I want you to learn, but your grades are your business. And I hate that I even have to give grades in the first place. I don't like grades. It's my least favorite part of the job, except when students are like, wow, I did really well, you know? So I want to share that I do have high expectations of students. What do I mean by that? I have high expectations that you're going to do the assignments that I'm giving you. I work really hard to create really meaningful assignments to help prepare you for different writing projects. That being said, I do not want, you know, like, I think of it like this, if you are, you know, throwing darts, you know, if you're out somewhere and you're playing darts and you're throwing the darts, sometimes you're going to get close to that bullseye or on the bullseye, and sometimes you're not. I really value the effort that is made, and I want you to see not hitting that bullseye as an opportunity to learn. I'm all about the learning and the journey, but you have to do the work in order to get, you know, closer to that bullseye. So for grades, what it is for this particular class, it's like your grade point average. So you know that a 4.0 is an A, right? And a 3.0 is a B, and a 2.0 is a C, and a 1.0 is a D, and a 0, you know, a 0 means, you know, you've gotten no credit. So some of you came into college with like a 3.5, that's an A. Some of you came in with a 2.8, which is really close to that B. So there's just certain, you know, I'm using the grade point average. So what happens in our class is this, is that assignments are done in quantities of 4. So there's 4 points, 8 points, 12 points, etc., and so forth. And what happens is 80 to 100% is an A, okay, 80 to 100%. 60 to 79% is a B. And then you're like, what? But it's like the grade point average, okay? So 40 to 60% is a C, or 59%. 20 to 39% is a D, and 0 to 19% is an F. So that's how it works in my class. And I recognize this is very different than how it works in your other classes. But I just wanted to share that with you so that you understand at the end, how is this going to translate? So if you have between 80 and 100%, that's an A. Now let's talk about turning assignments in on time. And then I'm very mindful of the time. We're at 10:01. We'll be done in the next couple of minutes. So what has happened is things need to be turned in on time. I've done some friendly reminders these first few weeks. So due dates, unless there's an error on my part, you have due dates on Wednesdays. If you have discussion boards where it says to begin to comment on Wednesday, begin to comment on Wednesday. If you have to finish commenting by Friday nights when I expect that your last comments are going to be turned in. So what's going to happen is that's how our class is going to work. So it's really important that you turn the items in on time so that you can work together as a group with the discussion forum, with the assignments, etc. Now I want to share with you that most, not all, but most writing projects I usually give till Sunday night. What does that mean? Sunday night at 11:59. Now I want to share with you, I do not close assignments, like the assignment's not going to close. If you turn something in at 2 in the morning, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be up. I'm not going to be looking at it. It's not a big deal. But in your head, the bullseye of the last time to turn something in should be at that 11:59. Now, I want to share with you that that's the thing that I'm like, I'm okay if you turn something in at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, it was due a couple of hours ago. I don't care. Other teachers, though, close the assignment. So if it's done at 11:59, it closes and you don't have any other opportunities. And I like to be very forthcoming about that so that you understand that all teachers are different. And so you really need to sort of pay attention to that actual guideline, okay? So I wanted to take, like I said, a couple of minutes to be able to share that with you. And are there any questions? All right. All right, I'm expecting to see your wonderful papers in by Sunday night. I want you to enjoy your weekend. And we have this 3-day weekend. So if you have classes that meet synchronously on Monday, they won't be meeting because it's Labor Day. So have a wonderful day. It's wonderful to see you. And we will have another Zoom session for the next unit. And I usually give a couple of days of saying, okay, it's going to be this particular day. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.